Hello darlings and welcome to yet another hardest difficulty review where we do not review the game as a whole but only its gameplay and difficulty. Sit back, relax, and while you're here you might as well press that subscribe button. Right off the bat we are thrown into the pit of some hellish place and we are presented by three weapons. First one is a dagger which attacks quickly, the second one is a powerful but slow axe, and the third one is a Warlock staff, which transfers your mana into powerful beams of light that destroys enemies. Now, right from the get-go, I have one thing to notice. There are no tooltips or some kind of hints or tutorials on what are you controlling your character with or what your weapons do. You have to figure that on your own, which you can either like or dislike depending on your taste. Personally, I like it because it adds to the game if it's done right. But anyway, we are introduced to our first enemies. And boy oh boy, they made me piss my pants. Not only because of the looks, but when we're here, the art style of the game is 10 out of 10.
This is not okay. Oh my god. I love it. For now.
It made me so immersed that the combination of fast moving enemies with their sounds and attack animations made me panic. The only way a 90s game can make me panic. The gameplay itself is rather fun and dynamic. Movement is really important in this game as a whole, because if you do not calculate your attacks correctly, you will pay for that with your HP. And I like that. There is stake. On the first level we have two kinds of enemies. They are spiders that runs really fast at you and tries to bite you, and the bat that shoots projectiles towards you. They're not really fast and you can dodge them rather easily. We raised the bridge and we're done with the first level. And now for one of the most important parts of the game, the workshop. It's practically your home base. And I need to give you some more info on how the game loop works so you understand the importance of it and to understand what I'm talking about. So pay attention, really close. There are in total 5 biomes, so to say. Each biome has 5 levels and each level has various amounts of stages. Now, each biome has 4 normal levels and it has a final level that is a boss battle. Important note to take, you cannot replay levels, so finding all of the secrets, killing all of the enemies and collecting all of the loot is really important. I'll go into important detail for each time there is something important for the levels, otherwise I'm gonna skip the level completely. Now, the importance of the statement that you cannot replay levels comes from that you need those levels to level up, upgrade your weapons, and purchase spells. And all of this happens in the workshop, and this is where it gets into the picture. Each time you level up, you get points to spend on your characters. And this is where the brilliance of this game is truly shown. It truly feels like a Dungeons and Dragons game. And the why of it is because you have 4 basic skills that you can put your points in. The first one is strength, which increases the damage you do with your melee weapons. The second one is health. The third one is spirit, which increases the amount of mana you can carry, plus it decreases the amount of mana you're taken once you activate a spell or use your Warlock staff. The first one is the most simplest one, it increases the ammo you can carry. Plus, every 5 levels you can choose between 12 traits, but for each trait there are skill requirements that need to be met so you can acquire them. Now, why I think this is brilliant, because you can effectively play as a barbarian, mage or ranger, depending on your playstyle, which is absolutely amazing. It's done simply but deep enough so that you need to have a plan for a character. Now, to complement your character, there is a wide range of weapon and weapon upgrades and magic spells, each unique and with its own purpose. The game loop is pretty simple. Each level has either a new enemy or a new weapon or both. Most of the stages have like secrets that have a nice amount of loot plus extra lives, or tokens for upgrading your weapons or buying new spells. The pace of the game is really well done. You never feel bored. There is always something a game will throw at you, because even if you clear the hallway, for example, with enemies, they can still be respawned back, given that you need to go return that way. The game has quite a few jump scares in the beginning, and they got me quite a few times. I got genuinely scared. But that is what the game wants. The game plays a lot on your calmness, so to say, your ability to adjust to new situations. Because in those situations when you're scared, they throw the most enemies at you and you need to switch to your right weapons to destroy the enemies in the most effective way possible. Let me give you an example. You walk down the hall. Suddenly, the floor beneath you crumbles. Bam! Tons of enemies around you, you have nowhere to run, and the only way to survive is to kill everything around you.
Fuck off. Oh, what do you... I love this game. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
The adrenaline rush surges through your veins and you slay enemy after enemy, and it feels awesome. For the first 5 times. After that it feels kind of boring and old, because that's all the game does. It just throws enemies at you. That is one of the biggest problems with the game. The game has a ton of variety of enemies, and they have a lot of different stages and different ways to kill you. But they feel easy to outrun, and then you can just simply kill them. They don't have any kind of a gap closer to stick to you, and they do not work well as a group. Let me explain that. For example, you have melee and ranged enemies, but there is no synergy between them. There is just a lot of them and they're just kept thrown at you. I think I can say that at one point there was like 10 different types of enemies thrown at you at the same time, but none of them worked well as a whole, which is quite disappointing for a game that is so well done until this point. But it gets worse. If you're like me and find most of the secrets, and by the 3rd biome all of your weapons are upgraded, you simply shred through the waves of the enemies. After the 2nd biome, the game feels like piece of cake, like a walk in the park. There is nothing new the game can throw at you that feels like a new challenge. It's truly easy. And a reminder, this is the harder difficulty. What makes it worse and more obvious is that in the last biome, the difficulty comes from the number of enemies. They are just kept thrown at you wave after wave, and you usually don't even take any damage. Plus, there is a spell that simply breaks the game balance. There's this spell that is so overpowered. It's like an orb of lightning. It serves as a turret that practically one-shots everything from the smallest enemies to the mini-bosses. And, to make it even worse, you get this spell at the 2nd biome. At some points I found myself not even using my guns because there was simply no need for them. Keep in mind that I was playing as a gunslinger. All of my skill points were in the amount of ammo I can carry. The last thing I want to talk about shortly, to be honest, are bosses. They felt like big sponges and nothing else. They have couple of stages and they have couple of ways to damage you, but they're so poorly done and poorly balanced that you're gonna find yourself not even taking damage. After first 2 bosses, all the next ones are like walk in the park, not because they're only easy, but because you consciously understand that the bosses won't be hard. The hardest part is to get to them. To conclude, the game is really a ton of fun, and I enjoyed playing it really a lot, genuinely. I would recommend it to anyone who wants to try it out. But as I said at the beginning, we are here to review and rate the difficulty and the gameplay of the game. And my final verdict is 6 out of 10, simply because the gameplay was like nearly perfect, but there was no challenge, there was no difficulty. If you want to watch me struggle while I record the gameplay for the reviews like this one, check me out on YouTube Live, where I will be playing Prey next on the Nightmare difficulty. I hope I'll see you then.